Now, this fight is personal for me. Like so many New Mexicans, I grew up in a low income family with a single mom who was self employed. We didn't have health insurance until I was an adult. And yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of my mother's death. After she survived 15 years with a brain tumor, discovered before the passage of the Affordable Care Act. A life-saving MRI and credit card debt that not only saved her life, but enabled her to live with dignity. That put her thousands of dollars in debt and saddled my mother for the rest of her life with the prospects of having to decide whether or not to pay for housing, food, healthcare, and basic necessities because we had failed to act as a country until we passed the Affordable Care Act. If we do not fix healthcare, people will die. People will lose their healthcare. Now, this may not matter to Mr. Mike Johnson and the billionaires that they're serving, because it doesn't matter to them if it costs a few $100s extra a month for them to pay for their healthcare. But let me tell you, for people like my mother, for people like me, for people like New Mexicans across the state and millions of Americans across this country, it will mean the difference between putting a roof on their head and being able to put food on the table. It will mean the difference between ensuring their families and their children and saving their lives and making sure that they have access to healthcare. And so while I understand that my colleagues across the aisle think that this is some sort of game, that they think they can just shut down the House and stop showing up for work and not come to Washington, D.C., that they can just tell the American people to eat these costs and tell Democrats that they don't have to negotiate. This is literally life or death for millions of Americans. So what we're here today to say to our colleagues across the aisle and to Mike Johnson is do your job. Come back to Washington, D.C. and negotiate in good faith, because this is a matter of life and death for millions of Americans. And this is not a game, sir. This is not a game. This is American lives. And these stories are not hypotheticals. These are real people. In New Mexico last week, our state legislature under Democratic control, our Democratic governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, who served in this great body, and our Democratic legislature said, we are not going to let New Mexicans starve and go without health care. And so they ponied up, they held a special session, and they put tens of millions of dollars on the table to make sure that New Mexicans are okay for the next several months. But there are 49 other states that have not yet acted. There are millions of Americans that will go without health care and without assistance if we do not act. And so that is why we are here. That is why we showed up. That is why we are calling on our Republican colleagues to get back to Washington. That is why we are asking to reopen the House, to see Adelita Grijalva, to pay our federal workers and our troops, to save our health care, and do your damn jobs. Get back here. This is about basic human decency and the commitment to the oath you took.